Hello everyone. In this version of tutorial I will teach you about LeanTween Basics. So LeanTween is a mobile friendly lightweighted plugin with which you can do some wonderful tweening effects. So we'll be learning three major functionalities which will be used at later point of video tutorial in our game development, and with these three functionalities we can create something wonderful. So let's go into that. So we have three scenes here: lean tween value, lean tween move game object, lean tween rotate game object. So let's start with lean tween value. I created an empty game object and I placed it at 000, and there is the script attached to this game object called LeanTween value. Let me go into that. So for this LeanTween to be used, you should import a namespace called dented pixel. So this is the namespace, and here we have LT description. This is a class that comes under LeanTween plugin, and there is one more thing called LeanTween type, that is a enum. So for both of these things I created a dummy variable, and this description is by default is assigned to null because it's a class, and we say this is a enum, and for this I am assigning a default enum LeanTween type dot linear, and there is this thing called public float complete seconds. And at start method what I do is I call LeanTween.value and I do this. So basically what happens with this function is whenever you say LeanTween.value, you are basically telling to a LeanTween, hey, on this game object, meaning on LeanTween value game object, I want to do the tweening from 0 to 1, meaning I want to go from 0 to 1 value in 5 seconds. So here if you see complete seconds equal to 5, so you are saying uh, start from 0 and end at 1, and all these things should happen at 5 seconds on this game object. And you are saying set on update value. So what this does is whenever this value is updated during the seconds, assume in 0th second you will get 0th value, and at 5th second you will get 1 value, and in between seconds whatever values comes, all these values needs to be updated in the update function. So again, if you are at the 0th second, this update value will be filled with 0, and 0.01 0.02 when the time is running, and all the values that you get in between the 5 seconds, all these things will be updated here. So when you reach the 5th second you will get the value of 1, and that value will be updated here in this function. So this function will be basically called by LeanTween, but we can create this function, means we can give this function name anything. So I had given update value, you can give some xyz also, but if you had given some name on your choice, make sure you give those name over here. So here I am saying set on update, and it is asking which function to call. So I created one function called update value with float parameter, because uh, it expects a function with uh, one argument, that is with one parameter, that is of float type. So LeanTween.value basically it tweens a value from it is asking, that is a float type, 2 is also float type, and it's saying which game object. So this update value requires one argument that is of float type. So whenever this value is updated, it will LeanTween will call this method. and there is one more function called set on complete. So whenever this tweening is complete, you are saying I want to call this method complete. So this complete is a method that we defined in our class. So void complete debug.log equal to complete. Now if I run this code, sorry, let me run this code again. At first frame, at the 0th second, you are having 0. Now see, each time update method is getting called, and at the 5th second you reach the value of 1, and this complete is also getting called. So this is what this LeanTween does. It's a very useful library. Mostly you will be using it to tween multiple things in your game, and you don't have to use normal Unity functions, because if you are going to write your own tweening library, it is like a hell. Because this guy, whoever created this tweening library, thanks to him, because it's a very efficient library. And there is this method called set is. I will come to this in later point of time in this video, but as of now, keep it aside. Okay, so in 5 seconds we reached a value of 1. So instead of 5 seconds, if I give 0.1, in 0.1 seconds you will reach the value of 1. Boom, it's reached. So you can control this complete seconds over here and make sure it is greater than 0, because 0 means it is not a waiting time, it means nothing. So I am giving 5 here. That's done. And one more thing is, whenever you start a tween, sometimes you might want to stop the tween based on some specific condition. So assume you started this tween and you are saying run it for 5 seconds, but in between at the second 2.5 seconds or at the third second you want to stop this tween. How you will do it? That's very easy. That's where here we are going to see. We have this update method where we check whether user released a up arrow. If the user released a up arrow, we are saying, hey, cancel the tween on this game object, that is on this game object, cancel the tween. And there is the second parameter. So if you see LeanTween.cancel, it takes two parameters: game object, which game object you want to cancel the tween, and it is asking, can I call the on complete method. Here you are saying, hey, I don't want to call the on complete method. So you are passing false. It means it won't call the on complete method, and it will stop all the tweens on this game object. So let me come with one real-time example. So here at the first line you started one tween like this, and this LeanTween.value gives returns lt description class, and you catch that description object in this variable. So it returns this reference and you catch that reference in this variable. And in the next line you are starting one more tween on the same game object, 0 to 1. So two tweens got started at start method. So now during update method, both the tween will be running for 5 seconds. So during update method, if I press the up arrow at the 2.5 seconds, then these two tweens, that is this tween and this tween, both the things will be cancelled. So let me do it now for you guys. So now it started. I press up arrow. So if you see update value 0.3809773, this is for first tween. For the second tween, I am saying set on update to this method, update value 1, that is also defined here. And for set on complete, I am saying for the second tween complete 1, that is also here. So both the tween got stopped. But sometimes you will end up in a scenario where you wanted to cancel a specific tween. For example, in this scenario, uh, I want to cancel the first tween, that is this tween, but this tween has to run for 5 seconds. How you will do it? That is also easy. So what I do here is I am checking whether the user releases the down arrow key in the keyboard. If he does that, I am cancelling the tween on this game object with specific ID. You remember here, whenever we do this LeanTween.value, it returns a description. We take, and this description contains all the details of this tween. So we say description.id. When you do it, it gives the tweening ID for the specific tween, and we say false. So if you see this function, it takes on which game object you want to cancel the tweening, and it asks for unique ID. So it asks for specific tween ID which you want to stop, and it asks one more thing, whether you want to call on complete method or not. So I am saying I don't want to call on complete method. So when I do this, when I release the down arrow key, what will happen is this tween will be cancelled. So update value and complete method won't be called, but the update value 1 and complete method 1 will be still executing for 5 seconds. Let me show you now. Now I am going to press down key. I press the down key. You see, complete one method got called, and update value 1 also got called. So this tweening was running for 5 seconds, but whereas the first tween, whatever we created, it got interrupted over here. See, LeanTween value at 0.09, it got interrupted. It means at first or 1.5 seconds it got interrupted. So this method got stopped at 0.09 value, and its complete method is also not getting called. So this is the first functionality that we will be using in our game. Currently it is just a 0 to 1, and we say how much seconds it has to take and what are all the things, whenever update happens, where it has to update, on complete what has to happen. Just we put a debug.log. In an actual scenario we won't be doing that. So with this approach we can cancel the specific tween ID, and in our case we interrupted our tweening at 1.5 seconds or something like that, where on that time the value is 0.09, and the complete method means we interrupted the tweening in between. So this thing got stopped, but this tween was running for 5 seconds completely. So that's it for LeanTween value. In the actual code we will be using this functionality. Whatever you see here, the same thing only I will be using in the code, means in the game, but I will use this tweening library to create a custom behavior. So on that time I don't want you guys to get confused. So that's the reason I am teaching you at a earlier stage. Okay, and I never told anything about this set is method, that I will tell you in when I that I will tell you in some time. Okay, let's go for LeanTween move game object. With this, when we are going to explain about this, we will see how this is method works. Okay, let's go into the next scene, that is LeanTween move game object. Value is completed. Now we are in the move game object. So sometimes in our game, assume this is a game object, that's a cube. You want to move a game object from start point to end point. So if you open the script, what I do is, it's same like previous. It is asking endpoint, which is the endpoint you have to reach. So we have to give this transform. If you don't give the transform, you have to give the position, that is in vector 3 format. Since it's a 2D game, we might be using vector 2. Remaining things are same. Okay, so at start method we check if object not equal to null. Okay, if you have assigned a transform, then on that case I am saying LeanTween.move means call the move on this game object, that is on this game object. I want to move this game object from the current position to object.transform to the endpoint. So here the endpoint is here, over here. This is an empty game object, and I want to move from this point to this point in 1 second. Instead of giving 1, I will give 5. So I am saying I want to move it on 5 seconds, and I am saying once you reach the endpoint, call this method complete. So this method will be called. Okay, remaining things are same like previous. When you do LeanTween.cancel, it will cancel all the tweening in the game object, whereas when you say LeanTween.cancel with the specific ID, it will cancel the specific tween on the game object. Okay, so if you run this now, in 5 seconds you will reach the endpoint. This game object will reach the endpoint, and this complete method will be called. Okay, now I will come to this is, which I was talking about earlier in the LeanTween value class. So is for some specific effect. So when I say linear, it will go from here to here in a linear fashion, but sometimes you might want to move a game object to a specific point with some specific effect. So I am saying this is kind of a move effect, movement effect, how it has to move, whether it has to move linear or it has to dampen or it has to provide a spring effect. They had LeanTween had given these many tweening uh, styles, you can say tween style, you can say. So in my case I call it ease. So instead of giving linear for ease type, how it has to ease from A to B, I am giving ease in quart. So now also the game object will reach the end point, but it will move in a specific style. Swing. See, it reached, like it started slowly and it reached. Now if I give e spring, it goes like a spring. See, these things you can feel it if I give it in 1 second. It goes like a spring and it will just do some jitter. See, it stopped like this. So these kind of effects, if you wanted to do using unity function, using vector3.lib or mathf function, it is very difficult, whereas with LeanTween it becomes easier. There is one more thing called iTween or something like that is there. So that is little bit heavy, but this is very easy to use. So instead of giving endpoint, I can also specify the position. So in X I am giving 10, and Y I am giving 10. So it will reach somewhere over here, and in 1 second is spring. Okay, wait. Okay, I had changed it to east to something. Okay, still it's going in linear fashion. Let me check it. Something is wrong. Okay, I had not given this function set is. If the transform is null, then on that case I have to give the is also. So now if I run it, see, it goes like a spring. So that is the use of is. So in terms, when you see this scene, LeanTween value, it is very difficult to see that in motion because it's just a number, right? but still here also this is set is method will work as expected, but you will see in form of debug logs. So instead of giving linear, so I am saying from 0 to 1, so go from 0 to 1 in a linear fashion. So this is I had given linear here. So instead of giving linear, if I give esout expo, one second guys, uh, if I give esout expo, still it will run for 5 seconds, but it will go from 0 to 1 with this is style. So if I run it, it goes smoothly with this style, with this ease. So if I was about to tell you on that time, it would be difficult to visualize because it's just a number that moves. But when you draw this on a 2D graph, you can see it will go like a wave, like the graph will slowly pick up, and final version of graph will look like something like a curve where it will start slowly, then it will go up, then it will reach the end point. So that would be difficult. Maybe for mathematicians it's easy, but for a game developers who is starting at the beginner level, if we are going to explain it at this fashion, it would be difficult for them. So that's the reason I showed it with the actual example. So you can choose different ease types so that it will have the specific effect when it has to reach from start to end. So I had given this ease in out sign. Let's see how it goes, where it is here. Okay, let me give. Okay, complete. Instead of this I will give ease in sign. Oh, it's the same. Let me give a spring. Okay, anyway, effect is happening. If I give is in quart, maybe I will give in 3 seconds or 4 seconds. See, yeah, these are all the different ways in which you can move the game object from one point to another point by giving some beautiful effects. By giving, when you apply this tweening effects, it looks so natural and it looks beautiful. Okay, so now we checked out LeanTween move game object. It's like this, everything remains the same. Now the last one is LeanTween rotate game object. Till now we moved the game object from one point to another point. Instead now we are going to rotate. So this is also the same, okay, but only one thing here is we have to say how much amount you have to rotate and rotation axis. So now we are saying I want to rotate this cube around z axis. So z axis means it will rotate like this. Okay, and this is the z axis. This is the z axis that we are going to give. So I am saying rotation axis is this. How it happens? We are saying LeanTween dot rotate around. Okay, which game object you want to rotate, it asks. So we are giving game object this, that is this cube game object, and it is asking rotation axis. So rotation axis is a 3D vector, but instead of passing a 3D vector, what I am doing is I am using the rotation axis game object, that is this game object, and I am taking the transform dot forward, that is this vector, and I am saying I want to rotate this cube game object around this axis by 360 degree. That is the rotation amount, how much degree I want to rotate around this axis I am specifying it over here, and how much time it has to take to rotate also I am specifying. So basically around this axis I am saying rotate 360 degree in 5 seconds using this uh, tween style. Okay, so and after 5 seconds, once the rotation is complete, I am going to call this function complete method done. So remaining things are same like previous. So in 5 seconds, use this tween style and rotate 360 degree around this axis. Now if I do it in 2D view, if I put it, you can see the rotation. See, it rotates in 5 seconds 360. But if I give linear, it won't have any effects. It will do normally from A to B. See, it's just like as if you are rotating. And I can even give some other is in cubic. So instead of 360 degree, it means 360 degree means by default you are at 0 degree. 360 means I am saying do one full rotation. Again it will reach, this axis will reach to the same place. Instead of 360 I am saying 180, so it will rotate and it will stop here. So if I give 180, it will stop here, and instead of giving plus 180, let me give minus 180, so it will rotate in clockwise direction. Okay, if you give plus 180 it will rotate in anti-clockwise, and minus 180 it will rotate in clockwise. So that's what this lean tweening library is all about. We will be using this to make some wonderful effects. Okay, and I'll be using this code only everywhere to do some tweening effect, but you will see how this code is getting useful in later point of time when we create some platform where it moves from A to B, and we can create enemies with this. We can create enemy AI also. It is possible. There are two types of enemies. One enemy is it will just do specific set of things, and there are some enemy which will react to the player. All these things, uh, whatever we are going to see, it will use the LeanTween library. So on this foundation, that is LeanTween value, LeanTween move, and LeanTween rotate, with this foundation only we will be developing a library. So that's all guys for this video. I hope you guys understood it clearly. If something is not right, or if you guys have not understood clearly, or if some complaints are there, please give your comments in the comment section below, so that I will correct my mistakes. Thank you guys. We'll catch up you guys in the next video. Bye.